I've run out of space to display all my awesome Lego sets, so I'll be using SOLIDWORKS and 3D printing to solve this problem.
Hi, my name is Kobe Downey. I'm a SOLIDWORKS champion, as well as a SOLIDWORKS user group leader, and a very avid collector of Lego. The biggest problem I found with being a collector is that you run out of shelf space real quickly, but I've got plenty of wall space. So this is why I've started actually mounting a lot of my Lego on the walls. So today I'm going to show you how I use SOLIDWORKS and 3D printing to mount my Lego on walls. We'll start off with the Speed Champions. You know, there's quite a lot of different designs that there are. So I made these little mounts that attach to the wheels, and let's get into how I made that.
With the Speed Champions models, each of their chassis are different. The only feature that is exactly the same across all of them are the wheels. So I decided to create a kind of a hook mount that wraps around the wheels. To start off, we jumped into SOLIDWORKS, created a back plate that's going to lean up against the wall. I created two concentric circles to create the kind of hooks that hold onto the wheels of the Speed Champion Lego sets. Once the hook was made, I decided to just give it a bit of a sharp edge at the tip, just to make it easier to slide the mount around the gap between the wheel arch and the wheel. I then mirrored all of these features around the center plane, and the last thing to do was to cut a little hole in order for me to be able to mount this onto the wall. So it's just a simple screw onto the wall, and the Speed Champions slips right on. After I did all of those, it was time to move up to the Concorde. I had a lovely piece of space over here, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. So let's get into how I made the mount for my Concorde. The original mount that you build with the Lego Concorde attaches very easily to this little square hole, a little 2x2 hole. So starting off with that, I measured the hole and created the plug that will actually go in there. And then all around that, I then started making the rest of the mount. Decided to make this quite a big plate so that not all of the weight of it is sitting on that little peg that we created. This part of the model here sits against the wing. This also helps with better support. So again, not all of the weight is being held on to with that single support. Part of the wing is actually resting on this and helps distribute the load of the Lego Concorde on this mount. To save a bit of material, I decided to cut away these little corners so that there's a slight little bit of material. There isn't as much material waste. We're only using what is really needed. To fix this Lego mount onto the wall, I decided to use 3 screw holes to better help support it. Use the handy little feature here where I selected on all 3 of those circles.
and use the equal relation, which means that all I have to do is dimension one of them, and all of them follow that same dimension rule for the diameter of the hole. Because this model sits so flush to the mount, I needed to create some areas where the heads of the screws will be countersunk into the actual model so that the Lego Concorde can sit as close to the surface, the flat surfaces, as possible. And that's the Lego mount. So as you can see, it sits into that one little hole and also holds at the bottom there by the wing and holds the entire weight. Once it was mounted up on the wall, all I had to do was just slip it on there, and it fits perfectly on the wall, and it sits really super flush and low profile.
So after those two designs were made, it was time to do something a bit more ambitious and hang my Lego Lamborghini up on the wall. This is a much heavier model and it's a Technic model. So I decided to actually theme this specific mount out of Technic. So let's get into how I modeled the mount for my Lego Lamborghini.
So with this mount, I decided to theme it with the Lego Lamborghini's theme, which is Lego Technic. So I wanted to make it look like it was a stack of Technic bricks stacked up together with two jutted out pieces that will actually mount to it. All the other mounts, including this one, you actually don't see, so no one sees what they look like, but I wanted to do something a little bit different with this one. So I started by creating the shape of Lego Technics, adding the holes where you'd usually put all the pins in. To help sell the illusion that this is a stack of Lego Technic blocks stacked together, I did a sweep cut around the whole thing of a 0.5 mm groove, just to make it look like they're actually separate pieces. This is when I realized my measurements were slightly off. I wanted it to look a lot wider. The sections that jut out actually hold onto the Lamborghini. So because SOLIDWORKS is fully parametric, I could go back into my design tree and adjust everything, add in some extra patterns for the hole in the top, move a couple of things around, and carry on from where I was left off. So I made this extrusion out of the front of the body. This is where the Lamborghini is actually going to mount onto. If you've used Lego Technic before, a lot of the pieces snap into these holes, and sometimes on the other end you have a little plus section. So I decided to use those because those are the parts that actually mount directly into the Lego Technic body. On the back of it, I extruded out this box and cut in these keyhole slots in order to actually mount this on the wall versus directly screwing it in. These keyhole slots allow me to put 2 screws in the wall and just slot the actual mount directly onto it. So this is the mount after it's been 3D printed. Looks just like a bunch of Lego Technic bricks. So this mounts underneath here, just below the front axle.
and it takes the full weight of it. Slots into some of the Technic holes. Once it's up on the wall, put the mount in. Locate the holes where you want it to actually mount, and we popped it in. And there is the Lego Lamborghini mounted on the wall.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from it. I personally love using SOLIDWORKS for Makers to make things for around the house and create my own custom mounts. A lot of these things you can buy, but I prefer making it myself, and I love taking on that challenge to do it myself. Thank you very much for watching.